Greetings. This video is a quick explanation of the marking scheme for writing a persuasive essay in Year 9. What we're looking to do in this particular video is to show you how you can achieve different levels of grades depending on the level of work that you do. Now, some of the supporting videos that go with this particular piece are of course explanations of all of the skills that we're going to list here, and also explanations of how to structure and to write your essay at each of the three levels, C, B and A. Now, you might notice that there are actually 4 boxes on this page, the missing one from what I just said being the level D. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time talking about the D, but the main thing I'm going to talk about here is in order to get one of these, if that is your intention, then you need to not show any evidence of the skills listed in the other boxes. Okay, so essentially you get an idea that I'm going to be talking about what we need to see in each level in order to build the strength of your assessment. If you don't show any of these things and you just write off the top of your head and it doesn't follow any of these conventions, you'll find yourself with a D. But there should be no reason why that should really be happening to any student if they're following the instructions and making sure that they're up to date. So, to start things off, we're talking about getting a C. And this is really the most important place to start because essentially we're looking at the most simplistic approach to the skills that you need to demonstrate. In order to get a B and an A, you need to get the same skills and demonstrate those, but in greater detail. So when it comes to C, the big thing to think about is following structure. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that you don't show structure in the other ones, but the assumption is that you are then able to build on those skills. So when we say using structure, what we're really talking about is this concept of, is this person using what we call teal, which is essentially a structure that is used for writing an essay, and are they showing a logical progression of information? Okay, is what you're saying actually, in order really? And I suppose we're also talking about this idea of, and this seems a bit basic, but you've always got to make sure you include it. That means an introduction, paragraphs, and a conclusion. And of course, they should be in a logical order. So if you wrote your conclusion and then your introduction and then your paragraphs, your structure wouldn't be up to date and you'd probably find yourself in this box. But we can understand here that yes, structure is an important thing, and that's the main requirement for getting a C. If you can show a C, it doesn't matter so much about the other things that are in these 2 boxes. If you can show your structure, at least you know you've passed. When we move over to the B, yes, structure is still a requirement, and we would expect that you are using teal, having that logical progression of information, and going through that introduction, paragraphs, conclusion kind of business. As well as that, however, what we should be seeing is signs of nominalization. Now, nominalization is a bit of a tricky process for some people when they haven't had much experience before, but you should have covered this in some of your classes. Otherwise, there is a video that explains it in more detail, which you're welcome to check out. If you're showing signs of nominalization, then you are moving into the B level, which is fantastic because it shows that you are gradually improving your writing. Now, some of your nominalization might be fantastic, some of it might be maybe a little bit dodgy. You might find that in a paragraph you're doing 1 nominalized sentence, and then in your next paragraph you're doing 3 nominalized sentences. So it very well could be inconsistent, or it could be not worded quite right, but just showing the signs of nominalization. And I should say, I guess the word I would put in here would be reasonably consistent. If you just happened to get lucky and have 1 element of nominalization, you might still get a C. In fact, you might find yourself on a C+. But signs of reasonably consistent nominalization is certainly one of the things that we're looking for when you're getting a B. The other thing that we're looking for is signs of, and I'll use that term again, reasonably consistent reasonably consistent persuasive devices. So even if you don't know what a persuasive device is, you can still get a C for your piece as long as you follow the structure. However, in order to improve the quality of your writing from that C level to that B, you need to make sure that you're actually thinking about persuasive devices and you're showing them in reasonable consistency. Now what that might mean is you've got a really good persuasive device in your first paragraph. You might have a, slightly half and half one in your second, and you might have two really good ones in your third. I would call that reasonably consistent, and I would call that signs. Once again, it doesn't mean that you're getting it perfect, but it does show that you are improving the quality of your argument. Now, I'm sure you can probably guess what we're looking at in terms of the A. We are looking at consistent and polished is the word that I'm using here. Consistent and polished nominalization. Okay, so again, if you don't know what nominalization is, you're going to need to find out if you're really looking to go from that B to that A level, or even to get off of that C. But here we're talking about consistency and polish. So if you're someone who's getting an A, you should be not only nominalizing, but making sure you're doing it as efficiently as possible and often. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that you're nominalizing every single word, because sometimes it doesn't read quite right, but it shows that you're writing with a higher level of polish and you're showing more sophisticated arguments. As well as that, once again using the same terms, I'm going to say consistent and polished persuasive devices. Now if you wanted me to put an answer on that, then I suppose what we're really looking at here is probably at least 2 per paragraph. Now that also includes kind of the intro and the conclusion as well. So really you should be showing them as often as you can, because that's what makes your persuasive device persuasive. Here, when we're talking at the B level, we're probably talking about 1 per paragraph, 1 or so, just to give you a bit of an idea about where you are. So if you're getting a B for your essay, it might be that, yes, I am using persuasive devices, but I need to be using more. And it's also about the polish by what you deliver them. So there are a few other features, and of course grammar, punctuation, variety of language all play a really big role, but in terms of following steps about skills that you can build actively, this is a really good model that you can follow in making sure that you're progressing through from a C to a B to an A. And again, there's some videos that can really show you the difference between those elements and the difference between that type of writing. So make sure you check them out. Thanks.